Hey there, it's Betsy Jordyn, and I'm excited to share with you information around how you can turn your networking contacts into future consulting contracts. So in other words, what you're going to discover is why you as a consultant need to become a network master so that you can generate leads and create connections with your exact perfect buyer. So you're going to discover all kinds of tactics today in this quick video. And so here's the thing, you know all about the kind of official networking events that you can go to. And I'm sure you've spent some time trying to figure out like, which ones do I need to go to that my ideal clients are at, and what can I do to find leads? But have you really considered that there's all kinds of events that you're going to all the time that you could also consider networking events? So you can look at parties or barbecues as opportunities. And don't forget the holidays. The holidays are great opportunities to meet with people who either A, are your perfect client, or B, as importantly, know someone who is. So you've got networking events all around you, because what you might not realize is every single day is a potential networking event. And the question that's on the table is really, are you making the most of these opportunities? And so I'm going to talk to you about how to make the most of all of these different types of networking events. Because the real goal of marketing is simply to meet somebody that you have the potential of helping. It's not about landing the deal. This isn't about sales. This is all around meeting somebody that you can help. And so that's what we want to go after. And networking is a perfect opportunity. And the other thing about networking is that you want to make sure that you're always keeping two kinds of people in mind. There is the ideal client, and then there's the nexus person. And you know what I'm talking about with who these nexus people are. They're the people who know everybody. These are those referral people. They're the networkers, because they're always making connections like, oh, you need to talk to so-and-so. You need to talk to so-and-so. You want to meet these people at networking events as well. So let me get into the networking goals. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to have as your takeaways? So obviously the first things first is you want to connect with a buyer and make sure that you get a follow-up appointment with that potential buyer. Again, that nexus person, you want to meet with them and you want to make sure that you have gotten them to agree to set you up with some virtual introductions. And then the other goal, don't forget, you're at these events, they're fun, they're parties. So you want to make sure you're going in without the mindset that you just want to go there from a lead generation standpoint. You want to go there and enjoy yourself. Otherwise, you're going to come across as smarmy or stalkery, and you don't want to do that. So that you want to come across as an authentic, genuine person. The goal isn't to go to these events to use people. It's to make connections. Because the reality is there are people out there who really need your help. There are your perfect clients that absolutely will get tremendous value from working with you. And so you just want to take advantage of those opportunities to authentically find them. So that's what this is all about. So I want to make sure we go into these events with a service mentality, the service of the people who are in the room that you're meeting, and the eventual service of the people that you're going to eventually meet who are going to become those clients. So I want to back up and talk to you about the big picture around the steps to make the most out of a networking event. You know, first things first is you need to make sure that everything is well positioned on your website. You got the right content, and then you got to figure out step one, going to the right events. You got to make sure you pick the right ones. When you're there, you want to make authentic connections with people. And then you got to be on the ready to answer the question that you're always going to be asked around what you do. And then this event is not going to be successful unless you get some sort of next step, some sort of actions. And from there, you are well positioned to do that handoff from marketing to what I call partnership setup. So in my world, I don't believe in consulting sales. I don't believe we sell ourselves. I think we offer our strategic partnership. So I call the whole contracting process partnership setup. So let me talk to you about that pre-step. So you need to make sure your online store, your website, your LinkedIn profile, and all of those places that an ideal client can form an impression of you is all set up to establish your credibility and encourages conversion. So you really want to have a wow design, great content. You want to have lots and lots of motivations to get people on your list and want to work with you. So you want to have that all set up. And from there, now you're ready to do the networking. And your first step with your networking is make sure you go to the right events where your ideal clients actually go to. So a lot of times people wonder like, oh, I want to join a professional association. People ask me all the time because I have an organization development background, should I belong to an OD network of some kind? And I would say, absolutely. If your goal is to connect with colleagues and get best practices, but don't go there to get leads because that's not where they are. So definitely take advantage of those professional associations, because we all need support. We all need encouragement. We all need to feel like we are not alone, but don't expect it to generate leads, because that's not what they're designed for. Then when you're at the event, make sure you make an authentic connection with people. Meet them, don't use them. Always ask questions first. Seek to understand. Pay attention. Listen to their challenges. Listen to what they describe in their language, and be available to offer immediate value. And the other thing that you want to avoid is all of that corporate speak, because it really turns people off. People are just so sick and tired of the corporate lingo. At one point, I created a little game called Lingo, and I made it like a bingo game. And perhaps I was just being a little snarky in the moment, but people are sick of that. So additional tips to consider is always be asking, who am I talking to? And thinking about them, not just from their position standpoint, but for them as an individual. And what are their challenges that they're telling me about? Why are they telling me about them? Why do they care? You want to be listening for, what is this person's issues, and how can I help them? And are they the right fit? And you want to make sure you add value. And it's so much more powerful to add value by asking quality questions and sharing your credentials. You demonstrate your credibility so much more when you can provide framing and empathy to validate what somebody else is saying. And if you do feel like you need to talk about your experience and it comes up, why don't you just frame it in a way where you talk about it, not necessarily say, well, I have 20 years experience doing X, Y, and Z. Relate to their challenges. As you know, when I worked with other people who have the exact same challenges you have, this is what we've discovered as we work together. That would be far more powerful and more of a human-to-human contact. Okay, so that's step 2. Now we're at step 3. You got to be on the ready to answer the questions, so what do you do? And I recommend a 3-part script where you begin with, so you know when, where you insert in plain language your ideal client and their pain points. And then you share your expertise. What I do is, and then you go into what is your expertise and how it helps your client to address their pain points. And then the part that brings it home is which is the transformation. So what you want to be able to do is describe what you do in the context to say, here's who I help. This is their starting point. This is their context. When I work with them, it transforms those pain points into something of massive value. So that's the structure of this response. So when you get to this part, you would say, so you know when, and if you know who you're talking to, customize it to this person. So if you've already discovered that this person's a senior leader, it's like, well, you know, when senior leaders like you are trying to grow the business and they're having all kinds of challenges, because as they've gotten to the next level, you know, the team starts fighting and there's finger pointing and it's really annoying. And you start painting the picture of the pain points until that person starts nodding and say, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm dealing with the same thing. And if they're saying that they're dealing with the same issue, this is great, because then you start customizing the next part off of that information. But you want to begin there. And then you talk about what I do. And you might talk about it with my best clients, or in situations like this, or when I work with people like you. Whoever you're talking to though, this is actually the shortest part of your response. Contrary to what most people worry about is, how do I describe what I do? This is the least important thing. What's more important is really connecting with that ideal client and their pain points. And then finally, how those pain points get transformed into something of tangible and intangible value. This is where you close the deal with the limbic system. We always think that it's the cognitive brain that makes the decision, but it's the emotional brain that does. And so you want to be able to show the transformation that your ideal clients experience. So now you've got a good branded response, you're connecting with somebody, and now you've discovered if they're an ideal client, or they know someone who is, or it's just a nice contact. So you want to make sure that you end the conversation by advocating for next steps. Make sure you exchange your contact information. If you're talking to if you're a Nexus person for somebody else, do a solid to that person and offer to make a connection. If they're a Nexus person, ask for that introduction. And if they're a potential client, offer a free consult, offer opportunity to meet for coffee or to chat, and make sure you set that defined time. And once you have some sort of meeting or action step with an ideal client, marketing is over and that partnership setup process has begun. So again, remember, our goal of marketing is simply to get a lead and have somebody that we could have a conversation with to explore the potential of working together. So where you might get stuck is the first place where most people get stuck is really seeing who your ideal client is and or your expertise. So it's really hard create a great website and have a good solid brand or a LinkedIn profile that attracts your ideal client if you don't know who that person is and you don't know the value that you create for them. It's really hard to figure out which events you go to. So that could be a challenge. Or you might be able to see it, but you just can't get the words to describe the value that you create for your ideal client. If that is you, that is so normal. Most people experience that at some point or another because we all have that nose to the window pane syndrome. So here's some ideas just to get you unstuck is why don't you just do an inventory in your life? Go look at each phase of your life and think through what was going on in your life, who were you helping, what skills did you use, and look at the themes. That will give you a lot of insight. Or ask people. Ask the people that you love to help that one magic question. You know, what value or outcome do you get by virtue of working with me? Look at your top accomplishments and then theme those and analyze. Those are some ways to get started. But if you're really stuck, I do have a one-on-one business build mentor program that might be the perfect fit for you, where through structured coaching and on-call support, I'm going to walk you through the brand building process. I'm going to help you build your marketing system, and I'm going to help you develop your value proposition that you will use at these networking events and that will form the foundation of what you might put as a headline on your website and on your LinkedIn profile. And we're going to do a bunch of other things. So if you're really stuck, definitely don't sit around staying stuck, because this is exactly what my passion is. I really believe I'm a brand whisperer. I'm somebody who's great at drawing out of people their talents and their passion. And so I would love to help you with that. So with that in mind, you now are fully equipped to go make the most of your networking events, or hopefully you'll be super equipped or you feel more equipped. So thank you for listening in on this short video. And again, this is Betsy Jordyn. Please visit me on my website, theconsultantsinstitute.com.